Hi, everyone. Happy Monday. I wanted to give you an update on the severe weather potential because we still have this system that's moving in. You probably saw right before we did this Facebook Live that we did have a tornado warning that was very close to my in laws. And this was in the Northeast Texas panhandle. The tornado warning has since dropped, but it's pretty crazy that this just kind of shows you the strength of this system. When we go back and look at the tornado warning, there was a little bit of rotation. There's no doubt about that. And that was very close to the Perryton area. You could see that showing up. When we look at the actual air temperatures, it's 52 degrees over 49. So, not a very humid air mass, what we call a cold core low type setup that's in the Texas panhandle. So, very, very interesting. If you notice, there's other thunderstorms that are popping up west of that. This is the beginning stages of this big storm system. So there's absolutely nothing in Northwest Arkansas. This is like we're talking about tomorrow morning into the early afternoon for storms that we're going to be experiencing. So, Timmy, to answer your question, no warnings in Springdale right now. And is it all staying south of us? That's a question, too, that we still have to answer. And that's what I'm going to do in this Facebook Live. So here's what we do know. All right. This system that's coming in is pretty intense. And so we'll take a look at some of our weather headlines on what you need to know, and then we'll show you the hour by hour future radar. So we're still watching this big system that's coming in for Tuesday. Josh and I have been focused on it. We've been watching it. Zach's off this week and was off last Thursday and Friday. So hopefully he's having a great vacation. But our severe storm timing for us, for our area in Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley, is going to be between 8 o'clock in the morning and 2 p.m. in the afternoon. So that's a time window. Most likely it's going to be in the middle of that time window. We're talking around 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. So keep in mind, this is going to be while you're at work, while kids are at school. Now, the question is how severe will it be? Well, we'll answer that question as much as we can at this point, just a bit. But colder weather the rest of the week after this system moves out. And then the white Christmas chances for 2020, I'll highlight that coming up at the end of our weather basically discussion. But it is appearing that this year is going to not be the norm in terms of that 10% chance of a white Christmas. So clearly we do have chances. Let me show you this system and what it's doing. First of all, there are massive winter storm warnings and blizzard warnings to the north. So this storm system is huge. There's no severe weather except for that severe thunderstorm warning. There's no watch that's out and currently in effect, but there's a chance that that could happen. But did you see how that storm popped up pretty quickly in northeast Oklahoma panhandle and eastern Texas panhandle? Popped up so fast that they don't even have a watch on it. Well, let's take a look here at our satellite and radar. Very, very big system. And just stick with me just for a few minutes and I'll go to the future track and show you what we've got. But there's the big upper level system that's churning and spinning, and you can see the cold air that's beginning to develop. We also have shower activity that's beginning to nudge into eastern Oklahoma, which, by the way, is a lot more than what the models show. And the big question is the temperatures. You know, the temperatures have really struggled on the models today, yesterday, because right now we're in about 50 degrees, so it has dropped off somewhat, but I don't think it drops off much more than that. Look at this, though. There's the big storm system spinning. There's a lot of jet stream energy that's nosing in. We got a spreading out of the jet stream, which is what's called diffluence. And so if we take a look at the surface map, the satellite and radar, this is what we're looking at. Now, that warm front probably lifted northward just a smidgen more. This low pressure system has moved east a little bit more. The occluded front's a little farther east, but that's kind of what we're looking at for our surface map. In order to see severe weather potential here, this warm front has to make it eastward. Now, there are indications that this will happen as the storm system moves east. We'll have a very small, narrow corridor of that rich moisture from the Gulf of Mexico, but it's still not perfectly set in stone. So here's the severe weather risk tonight and into tomorrow. And then on Tuesday, you can see that risk has changed quite a bit. Now, if you remember, some of the earlier outlooks only showed an outline area in Louisiana, and rightfully so. That's going to be the worst area for storms. However, you'll notice that inching northward, making it all the way into western Arkansas and also into parts of northwest Arkansas. So check that out. as we look at the risk. And I'll remove the panel here in just a second, but we a tornado or two is possible, especially with storms in the river valley. You've also got large hail up to 1 inch in diameter possible, heavy downpours. There's that timing window, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Now, for you in Tulsa, Scott, your risk is going to be a lot earlier, just to let you know. So, thank you for watching and tuning in. Scott, your risk is going to be earlier in the morning. We're talking around 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. And so, a lot going on for sure. Now, what about the tornado risk? So there's the risk expanding. Let me go back to the severe weather risk without the panel so you can kind of see. One thing I've noticed is that this has nudged north quite a bit more. Now, if this system slows down and slows down a little more, then I'll tell you what happens. This risk nudges north and then it'll make it into northwest Arkansas. It's a race. It's another one of those races as to whether the storm will actually get in here and be slow enough for the moisture to arrive. Let's go back to that tornado risk and show you what we've got for the tornado risk. So there it is. The risk is expanding northward because in the morning hours on the day 2 convective outlook, and Josh, I know that you didn't have the tornado risk over you. It was all in Louisiana, and so they're lifting that northward. Now, I know you see the green, and rightfully so. The very low potential is obviously not a great potential, but keep in mind, tornadoes can happen in that very low. It's really not necessarily a low probability. It's kind of like the amount of tornadoes are going to be very low in that area. But they could happen. It's a non-zero tornado threat. Larry's saying the system's slowing down. Now, clearly, the main risk, the more significant risk, is going to be in Louisiana. A lot of supercells possible in that area. And so let's take a look at the zoomed in view. And we're going to zoom in on the future track. So here's what we've got. All right. Nothing tonight, but there's already rain that's popping up. And so it's underdoing that. That's number one. It didn't underdo the temperatures today too bad. It was in the mid 50s, I think, for highs. Now, watch what happens Tuesday morning, 7 a.m. Look at the south wind. Man, that shows you a storm system is going to be pretty intense. First of all, strong southerly winds will pump that moisture back into the area. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I am going to, first of all, see what the computer model does for temperatures, and then I'll go to my other model. But this is non-altered, not edited computer model data. So here's 7 a.m. Everything's kind of quiet. 8 a.m. Storms start knocking on our doorstep. 9 a.m. Look at that. Kind of like what we call an isolated storm. Now, this could come to fruition. You can see that in the river valley. Then as we move into 10 a.m., there's 10 a.m. Once again, a little bit of a storm. And so that looks like a pretty healthy storm, one storm, and it has even signs of rotation. Just looking at it, you can kind of see how it almost shows signs of rotation. Now, as we move into 11 o'clock, storms die out. Notice how when they're getting farther north, they're dying out. And why is that? Well, the reason that is because there's lack of instability. It's all about that surface moisture. Will it make it back? Will it rush back in? Something that I added, Josh, on the computer model forecast is tomorrow night into Wednesday morning, the back edge of this system will be coming through. There's another vortex that's going to be sliding through as they kind of do the Fujiwara effect, and it flings this other low out. Watch this, a little bit of pop-up precipitation. So I do have a 20% chance included for eastern sections of northwest Arkansas and the river valley. Then the clouds clear out. Then it gets cold. Then it gets rather cold. Let's take a look at a different computer model and see what it shows. And so you can see the storms popping up at around 3 o'clock in the morning, some rumbles of thunder, perhaps some small hail. And then you can see the storms rolling in right around 9, 10 o'clock. And so that shows a little bit of intensification right around 9, 10 o'clock. Even though it doesn't look like much, some of those storms could rotate just because we have such strong low-level shear, like incredibly strong low-level shear with this type of system. So, we can say this is supposed to happen, but there's a chance that different things do take place. So then after that system moves out, everything kind of quiets down. So here's a breakdown of this timing for you. If you really want to know, this is what you got to look at here. So I'll pull my camera off the screen so you can see exactly what we've got. So overnight, 20% picks up as we head into midnight. And then as we go into Tuesday morning, those rain chances start cranking up. Not fully until about 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. Then they do drop off pretty quickly. So there is quite a bit of a quick hitting rain, which will be heavy at times. So your morning commute, your late morning commute could be a little bit of an issue. Now, here's the deal. I got to tell you this. I don't want to make it sound like this is the end of the world, but I also don't want to downplay it and say, there won't be anything that happens, because that's kind of what happened. Not necessarily with us, but a lot of other things. The Springdale tornado, there's always surprises. Nature can throw out surprises. I don't want to be surprised, and I want to kind of account for that uncertainty in order to basically make up for those surprises that potentially could happen. So I'm not saying it does, because it's a rarity. When you look at climatology, or when you look at, how it normally behaves, typically there aren't those surprises. But sometimes there are, and then those are the ones that really impact you in terms of, basically catching you off guard. So I just want to say this, that while the chance of a tornado in Northwest Arkansas looks very low, it's always not zero. The river valley is a little greater, because I think that moisture and instability surges northward. And then you got to look at the system and say, okay, I don't think the models are handling this perfectly. So let's check out our temperatures. And it is cool. It is very cool. So there is an easterly component to the wind. And what that does is that's advecting what we call cold air advection, and it's bringing that cooler air in. Now, what's interesting is Drake Field's at 54 degrees, so a little warmer. 47 in Fort Smith and 54 in Poteau. So, Teddy, if you're just tuning in, our rain amounts won't be overly impressive. We're talking a half inch to an inch. It's pretty quick moving, so I don't think flooding is going to be a really big issue unless the storm system slows down a little more, which I don't anticipate. But if we check out how much rain is expected from this system, you'll see that it's around a half inch to about an inch. And so widespread, every single place in the area is going to see rain. Let's look at the 3-day. Yeah, sounds good, Craig. I would definitely be on alert. That's a great point. We'll be on alert in the River Valley near Alma, because you saw that storm looked a little more intense. And there's the graph kind of showing some of those supercell streakings of precipitation. The European has quite a bit of rain in the River Valley, almost 1 3/4 of an inch, or actually it does. The GFS is around a half inch to an inch. And finally, the NAM is about a half inch to an inch. I personally think it's going to be about a half inch to an inch. So let's go back to our wider view. Okay, I'm going to do this for you guys, because I know a lot of you are watching, or some of you are watching in a more remote area. So that's not within our weather coverage area. So first of all, how do the models handle the thunderstorm? Oh, by the way, a tornado watch just issued. I'll take a look. I'll show you that in the Texas Panhandle. So tornado watch issued. Storms are popping up, and it could get pretty interesting pretty fast. But let's see how the model handled this. Well, would you look at that? It doesn't even have storms in the Northeast Texas Panhandle, and there's already tornadoes. So that's interesting. Let me zoom in here a little bit more so you can see. So there's what it shows at 8 o'clock. Now, keep in mind, I'm going to go to the hourly update, not just that one. I'm going to go to the hourly update, because that's not fair to the HRRR. We'll give it the benefit of the doubt. We'll give it the hourly forecast and see what it does. So first of all, I got to delete this. Now I can zoom out. Oh, no, still doesn't have it. So it failed. So look, Northeast Texas Panhandle. Are there storms? No. Are there storms? Yes. Absolutely. So you can see all the thunderstorm warnings, and then there's that tornado watch. And the tornado watch goes until 7Z, 1 o'clock in the morning. So there are storms now, but there's going to be additional storms. And then you see that energy lifted northward. So a lot of thunderstorm activity. In fact, that storm's intensifying pretty good. Now, my in-laws live in Booker, so we'll be watching that closely. Ooh, man, that's a pretty impressive storm. See, these storms are going to go up rotating, guys. I mean, that's the kind of environment that we have with this thunderstorm activity. So my family is definitely under the gun. You can see Booker, Texas, right here, where Jennifer's family is, my in-laws, and those storms are lifting north. But if additional storms pop up, which, by the way, the models are calling for, that could be trouble. So let me show you what I mean. So here's the future track. Here's the storms. Doesn't really show anything until 10 o'clock. So number one, the amount of energy that's coming in is stronger than what the models predict. There's your first key as to the strength of this system. Number two, it shows a lot of storms popping up around 11, 12 o'clock, and then it kind of lines them out. Well, I do believe that. But right now, they're initially supercells, and they're earlier than expected. Now, watch what happens over time. Here's that line marching east. It is a pretty healthy line, so there will be damaging wind potential along it. And then you'll notice as it moves east, it tends to weaken somewhat. And that makes sense because the instability is not surging north fast enough totally to fuel this thing. And then see there you can see Tulsa getting impacted around 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. And right around 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, that's when I think we see the thunderstorms roll into our area. So notice how it does tend to weaken quite a bit. So why is that? It's all about the dew points. So, they say it's all about the Benjamins. It's all about the dew points. We don't have that southerly wind component. Josh mentioned it, but I was actually looking at the surface obs, and I will show you that, in fact, we have the winds out of the east. And check it out. That's going to not advect that warmer air until the very last minute. So all the stuff, Josh, that we looked at, like kind of comparing events, to December 31st, 2010, sure, the upper level dynamics look very similar. The jet stream orientation, the way the jet stream's oriented, the strength of the jet stream, all that stuff is similar to December 31st, 2010. However, we already had a southerly component to the wind. We don't have that. It's not strong enough. And so the moisture is going to struggle to make it back into our area. And so that's what it's all about. So let's show you this. The deeper moisture, it's to the south. Now it is going to make it to Dallas. So Dallas is under the gun for severe weather, and that's why they extended that risk farther west. So let's see how this evolves. Notice how that moisture starts surging back in, but we only get to dew points in the mid to upper 50s. So that's not quite juicy enough. Upper 50s into lower 60s. I know some people don't like that word juicy. Makes me think of juicy fruit. But honestly, it's kind of lacking a little bit, and then the front comes through. If you'll notice those deeper greens, that's where the surface-based storms will be. That's where the tornadoes will be, and that's where you have dew points in the 60s. So we just don't have that. We just don't see that. If we look at the SIG-TOR parameter, you'll notice out west it looks pretty impressive. And then all of a sudden it kind of dies out. I bet you that storm gets tornado warned really quick. See how it gets shoved southeast? That's all because of that instability not coming back. Then it surges back into Little Rock just in time. So it's going to be close. It's going to be close if it in fact does make it here. We'll see. I do have my doubts about it. So if we let's look at the Cape on the European model, because the Cape has it's a little more Cape on the European model, and then you can kind of see it just really struggling. So out of everything, folks, I would say that this risk is definitely on not zero, but on a lowering trend from what we saw, about a week ago. Now we don't really have those dew points as much. And Larry even mentioned it. The dew points in the 50s, low 50s, and you have a tornado watch. That is pretty impressive. But remember that those dew points are going to surge northward. And so let's show you here when we go to now. And we'll bring up the watch box. I don't know why that doesn't pull up. There it is, finally. So there's the watch box, right? Where it's a small watch. But it includes right there by the river valley. And look, that's a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag. So very, very, very true, Josh. Josh had a great mention of this. Saturday's system saved our hide. Basically, what happened is that Saturday system scoured out the Gulf, and then it pushed north. Okay, that is a good transition to what we can expect with snow. He says, we want snow. All right, so first of all, here's the deal on the snow. We're going to have a cold weather pattern. We're going to have a cold weather pattern. So if we look at this is the 6 to 10 day outlook. Most, if not all of the nation is going to be gripped with colder weather. This includes everywhere. The lower 48. Our weather pattern very favorable for colder weather. And then not only that, but check this out. The 8 to 14 day outlook also much colder than normal. And you can see that probability is going way down. Just let me know, Chad, when you need to record, all right?
I was just going to ask if you mind.
No, I don't mind at all, sir. Okay. Chad has to record something, so just let me know when you're ready.
Okay. Yeah, it'll be a couple minutes.
Okay. So Chad's going to record probably what are called bookends. For doing good.
That's it.
Doing good. Chad's always doing good in the studio. So there's much colder than normal. Now, here's the deal. There are systems that are coming in. And if we look at the 8 to 14 day precipitation outlook, it shows drier than normal, but that's going to change. And then you see the 6 to 10 day outlook, equal chances. So, yeah, tiny sliver. I guess you might be onto something there. All right. While Chad is recording this, I'm going to bring up some ensembles. I'm going to bring up some long range models, and I'll show you why I do think that something's brewing. All right.
From finding a house to enrolling in school and the workforce, getting established in a new home is tough, and refugees have to do it all, usually facing language barriers or major cultural differences.
Hold on just a second.
Canopy NWA is also trying to meet an end-of-year fundraising goal to support its programs for next year. Canopy NWA is also trying to meet an end-of-year fundraising goal to support its programs for next year. To get involved, go to our website, fox24news.tv. Chad Muir, Fox 24 News.
Okay. Still recording?
Yeah, one more.
All right, one more.
3, 2.
Got some stuff to show you, though.
From finding a house to enrolling in school and the workforce, getting established in a new home is tough, and refugees have to do it all, usually facing language barriers or major cultural differences. Tag in 3, 2, 1. Canopy NWA is also trying to meet an end-of-year fundraising goal to support its programs for next year. To get involved, go to our website, knwa.com. Chad Muir at KNWA, Northwest Arkansas News. All done. Sorry to interrupt.
Hey, no worries. No worries at all. All righty. So here we go, guys. This is what we're going to do. We're going to talk about what's called ensemble forecasting. Now, this is the European model, and this is showing the potential for snow. Now, remember, when you look at models and what you typically see on the line and on the web are what are called deterministic models. Unless people really know how to forecast long range, they're probably typically looking at what's called a deterministic model. Deterministic means it's one solution. That's it. And that's what's posted. However, this is what we call an ensemble. And this is the amount of snow. And if we'll notice, anytime it shows this, so basically how you read this is going left to right. This is the most recent time. And then to the far right is essentially the farthest time out in the future, which, by the way, is December 27th at 12Z. You'll notice here that we've got, over time, a couple of model runs saying on Saturday there's going to be the potential for snow, but not a lot. And so let's say you see a deterministic model showing snow and it's just one solution. This is out of, by the way, 50 members, which is an ensemble. If you'll notice, as we get in towards the end of this forecast period, there's a lot of bars on here. And these are all ranging various snowfall totals. But regardless of the amounts, it shows most of them, if not just a selected few. How many members don't have snow? 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, wait a minute, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 out of 50 don't show winter weather potential. Now, we can look at some earlier model runs. Let's look at the 0Z from yesterday. Once again, a lot of precip, a lot of precipitation showing snow. These are the ensembles, and they're showing that potential for winter weather. Now, obviously, this cranks up right around Christmas, but I don't know if I necessarily believe the timing. I think it's going to be more before Christmas Day. Regardless, this is definitely something that we have to watch. Speaking of that, I bet you there's a tornado warning that's coming out for the Perryton area. Let me stop this. Yeah, still elongated on the rotation, but still something to watch for sure. I'll show you that here in just a bit. Oh, yep, new tornado warning. There it is, just issued. Wow, look at that near Elmwood. My goodness, I could be out there storm chasing. Chase mode activated, Josh. There's so many times that I wanted to storm chase in that area. Let me show you real quick here. Mega Doppler from the Texas Panhandle. So Elmwood, man, I've taken this road so many times, which is 412, and 412 becomes 270. And this is just the best storm chasing terrain you could possibly imagine. And then you can see it dropping south and into Booker. And then this storm right here has a little bit of rotation. So these storms are going nuts. And they're doing it in 50-degree temperatures. That actually is a pretty good circulation right there. That might end up producing. Wow. That is crazy. So anyways, prime territory. Absolutely. There's actually a little bit of terrain north of Booker on the Highway 15, believe it or not, which becomes Highway 23 when you go north of Booker. But all right, so back to our long range stuff. Back to winter, in case you're wondering. So here's a look at the ensemble. Now that's the European ensemble. We'll take a look at the GFS ensemble, and you'll notice too that multi-run. Let's see here. That's not going to help you. That's pretty hard to see. Okay, here's one. So this has a little less members, only 30 members, but look at this. Almost every single one except one does not have snow. Now, why is this? Well, because we are about to get an Arctic oscillation that is dropping down into the negative, meaning that cold air that's been bottled up to the north is about to come crashing down. Look at how much negative we are. So it's kind of like a little bit of a delayed effect. The EPO is going negative, the Eastern Pacific Oscillation, which means a Arctic intrusion of cold air, the North Atlantic Oscillation. All this stuff is just basically showing a really tremendous cold outbreak. Look at the Western Pacific Oscillation tanking and going negative too, and a very good chance of that as we head into the next few days. So with that being said, I think that we're going to see some stuff. Now, if we look at the deterministic models, and remember, this is just one solution, but it'll give you an idea of what we potentially could see. So here's the long range. Here's the storm that pops up, and you can see that storm materializing, and then kind of friction builds in, and it weakens, and then it swings east. Josh, I did take the flurries out for Thursday and Friday. I just didn't see it. It dries out pretty good. Now there's the chance of precipitation coming in Monday into Tuesday, and then look at that. That shows a giant winter storm in basically early next week. Now, here's the issue I have with this. I don't think this is the right time. This doesn't make sense because the European's a lot warmer and there's going to be a surge of warmer air. But I do believe that there's going to be a system the 21st, 22nd time frame. This one is going to be bigger than expected than what the model shows there. And if we go back to this, we'll take a look at the European. And then this is the last thing I'll do. And then I got to go because I got to get ready for the newscast because I'm leading the news tonight. Let's go to winter weather. And let's look at, we'll just look at the snow total, all right? Snow depth, that's what we'll look at. So we'll go to here, go to Arkansas, and this is the 18Z, so it doesn't go out long enough. So we got to go to the 12Z because every 12 hours in the midnight time frame and noon, they don't go out far enough. But here's what we got. Check this out. Here comes this system that's rolling in the early part of December 21st through the 22nd, right before Christmas. So big system coming in. That makes sense, especially if we look at the United States and we do the wide view. Sometimes people want to zoom way in, and honestly, it's kind of best to see it in a big picture. So we'll look at the upper level pattern. Now remember, this is just deterministic, but you're going to see here, there's the upper level pattern. There's that Fujiwara effect, by the way. There's two lows that are happening. One of them spins northward. The other one rips eastward, and that's the rain that I have coming in on right there, coming in on Wednesday morning. And that's probably going to be more than expected. So there's going to be cloud cover in the morning, and then it rips east, which is why I also increased the lows for Wednesday. Then there's that system spinning about. Now look at the active weather pattern. We got zonal flow. We're going to see multiple waves of energy, but at this point, we've got the cold air in place. And look, there's one system that might not bring the cold air, but this one does. So watch this. Look at this one coming in. Oh, daddy, that is a monster if that comes true. Now, of course, this is a ways out and a lot can change, but look at this jet stream coming in. That looks big time. So something to watch, something to pay attention to, and definitely something interesting. One more thing is this is kind of cool. I can look at the GEFS. Can't do it on the European, and it's kind of small. So what I'll do is I'll zoom in on this. And I haven't looked at comments in a while because I'm looking at kind of focusing on this stuff. But this is the ensemble. And so you can kind of see when it shows precipitation, how notice how when it's kind of earlier on, it looks very, alike. Then you got major differences. Ensemble number 12 has a big winter storm. Ensemble number 1 doesn't. 2 does. 5 does. Regardless, I don't know the exact timing, but I do think it's going to be around December 21st, 22nd that we'll see some stuff. And then we look at mean snow accumulation. Remember, this is all the averages. And you can see right here already, just a few days before Christmas, there's that precipitation that's popping up, and this is all in the form of snow. So in order to have a white Christmas, all you need is an inch of snow on the ground Christmas morning. It doesn't have to snow Christmas, just has to be an inch of snow. And so there you go. That's what we've got. So it makes sense. The models are in agreement. I'm not saying exactly when there will be a winter storm. I'm just saying the pattern is very favorable for it. So that's kind of like what we've got. Looks like a Fujiwara hurricane. Exactly. You got it. Those tips look like first drop on Millennium Force. Yeah, they do. Let's see. Remember when we talked about how the Happy Chasers would be tonight if they chase this? Looking juicy. So they're pretty good storms out in the Texas Panhandle. If you're late and just coming in here. All right. So here's what we've got. One quick recap, and then I got to shut it down because I'm leading weather at 9 o'clock. Weather's top story. So first of all, here's the severe weather risk as it loads up. And remember, this is going to be updated again at noon. At midnight tonight, right around midnight. Oh, new tornado warning. That's west of Booker. my goodness, I could have just been north of Booker and I could have been seeing tornadoes like crazy. It could have been like I was playing Twisted, Josh, on Roblox. My goodness. Check it out. There's that storm, new tornado warning. Now, remember, the models didn't even have storms at this point. This is why we clearly can't let our guard down. By the way, the moisture really came surging back north for this. So, anyways, there's the 2 tornado warnings. I'm going to take the lightning off there. Okay, I got sidetracked, but that's okay. We'll go back to this. So here's the risk. Tornado or 2 is possible, especially in the river valley and that green shaded area. Now, that could be lifting northward even more, and we'll see how this develops. The risk has already expanded northward quite a bit, and there's the main risk for storms. So let's show you on the ICAST data, and this is going to update again, so we'll see what it shows here. There's the storm popping up. And see, it has some pretty healthy storms in northwest Arkansas and the river valley. And there's enough spin in the atmosphere with the shear that some of those storms could, in fact, rotate. So, and then the storm moves out and then everything clears out. So the time that you really need to be weather aware, it's right here, about 6 a.m. to about 2 p.m. 6 a.m. is a little early, but just in case the storm produces storms a little bit stronger. 2 points are 50. I know. No kidding. Oh, Bobby, yeah. 2009 was the last time we saw a white Christmas in northwest Arkansas, but the River Valley had one later than that. They had one in 2012. That was the big winter storm that crippled central Arkansas. Yeah, I think that's a good point. The models may be underdoing the northern extent of the instability. Yeah, why would you say that? Let's see how the graph did, by the way. Yeah, stand by here. We'll take a look at this. So I'm going to zip out west real quick, and let's see how this does. So that actually did not as bad. It has those storms in the northeast Texas panhandle. Look at when the energy comes ripping in. Let's see what we got. I'll zoom way out. Don't mind the temperatures on there. This is just altering the graphic. So there's some storms. And then you saw them coming in. So this is just the 3-kilometer graph. That's why it doesn't show those storms coming in, because it stops at 18. So there you go. All right, guys, I got to run. You have a good one. We'll keep you updated. Josh Rugger, the man, he's on here right now, but he's going to bed. I thought you were going to bed pretty soon. He's going to be coming in here, and we'll be, if there's storms that are bad, I'll be coming in here and covering them with Josh. So we'll keep you updated. Download our Weather Authority app. We got all the latest alerts. Josh, I got tornado warnings going right to your Twitter account. Got that all fixed out. And I do think there will be a watch of some kind. It might not clip northwest Arkansas, or it'll be close. But this is a system. I don't know if you've ever seen The Hunt for Red October, but you know when he goes, this one's going to be close. That's what we're looking at here with this. Take care, guys. Have a good one, and later.